Hi everyone, this is Keerthi Suggu, and I've been working in the field of cybersecurity for over 6 years, and I have like a couple of hands-on experience in areas such as threat detection, vulnerability management, incident response, and risk assessments. Throughout my career, I have been having the opportunity to work on securing the enterprise environments, developing robust security strategies, and collaborating with various cross-functional teams across to build a strong cybersecurity posture. My passion lies in staying ahead of continuously evolving cyber threats and helping the organizations proactively defend against them. I'm very excited to be here today and looking forward to share some insights, learn and contribute to some of the meaningful discussions in and around the cybersecurity. I think we have like lots of content which we have been going through over last 2 days. I wouldn't take much of your time, and it's like very much familiar and buzzing topic currently. So just a fun fact about me, like other than like chasing threats, I would love to chase sunsets and like travel sometime. So let's go get into this. So today, I think like from yesterday, from Diana Kelly to today's panel, like where Bailey, John, Sean, like everybody was talking around like the agentic AI, like what's this? I know everybody is very much familiar on this right now. So I would just like try to like go a bit deeper and like go into the basics first and then go from there. Why agentic AI? Like, like everybody has been using ChatGPT and all the recommendation search engines from a very long time. You are like prompting, giving questions. It's just giving you the results. What's so different about the agentic AI? It's not like something like the traditional chatbots or the recommendation engines. I know it's responding to prompts and predicting outcomes, but agentic AI, it takes you to the next step. Like it can plan, it can reason, it can actually take actions, and it can adapt dynamically towards the goal. So that's why it's more special than your regular smart chatbots. It's also is not just analyzing the data, it can autonomously schedule tasks, schedule like book tickets for you, like be like your personal shopping agent. So it's helping in various fields than we can imagine. So, and it's also allowing automation of a lot more complex multi-step process and complex tasks, which are too dynamic for the traditional bots. So why agentic AI and why now? It's like currently the foundation models like Claude, Gemini, GPT-4, and they are like very powerful enough to reason and plan in ways which earlier AI couldn't do. And the frameworks like LangChain and OpenAI's MCP, all the API first infrastructures are making it very easier to connect AI to the real world tools currently. And organizations are currently having the where we have operational inefficiencies and all the rising complexities. This agentic AI is really helping out to fill the gap and take the digital world now. When there is so much going on, definitely we need to have a control. So that's where we have the advances and the guardrails coming in. It helps in monitoring and explaining and having a safety research, and it's making it less risky to deploy. And companies which are really adopting Gen AI is like they are doing a lot more work with very less, and they're innovating very faster. So that's why it's helping to create like stronger incentives and achieve a lot bigger goals, and by embracing it now rather than later. So that's where we have like agentic AI coming through. And what is making it like agentic than like the normal one? So I could like start with an example. many have like so many tasks going on. For example, if we have a team where team is spending hours like tracking the tasks, like sending reminders, like chasing the updates, and when if it would be like so good if you have like one agent which does all these things like and monitors, and it just makes sure that deadlines are not missed, and it's drafting the weekly status updates and it's reporting. So it's like hiring an extra project manager with who never sleeps, right? How good it is at zero extra cost. So some of these like are really helping us in this way. So what makes it really agentic is some of the major goals, like it's not just answering things for you, it's actually achieving goals for us, it's executing tasks, making plans, and it's really adapting along its way. So those are the major things you could say that it's like goal oriented, autonomous, it's reasoning and planning, how it's actually connecting to the tools, and how it is adapting. So like I have to have like a business trip like booked next week to New York. So if you are just able to tell it, it will just go ahead, check the schedules, check your schedule, it checks the flights, and like the goal, I know it's like end trip to New York. Autonomously, it doesn't come and ask you what should I do. It would be going and checking it, and it also adapts when if you think the flights are full, it will just try to check for an alternative way. That's how it's actually like it's working in an agentic way. So everything is like good now. Like you have all the things going in a smoother way, but there should be some controls. There should be like because there are lots of risks associated when it comes into play. It could be like acting without any controls. That would be a problem. That's where we are having the MCP governance framework coming into the play. So I know you all have an idea like MCP is like the model context protocol, but in cybersecurity terms, in the governance framework, I'll explain it as a model control policy model where it gives you the control. It has the logic, you are giving the context, and control is where you have the guardrails set on that, and the policies are where you are actually implementing and how you are controlling. So it's more like how you are acting it, but in a responsible way and in a controlled way. So I'll explain you like in a very simple manner the MCP. Just imagine it like USB, but for AI. So for example, you got your latest iPhone or your laptop. Each one is having a different USB connector to connect with. Then that's creating a bit of mess and chaos, right? So instead of that, if you have a universal adapter, a universal cable, how easy things would become. It's like that. Similarly, MCP is like that. So it's a universal plug and play. So any AI model can talk to any tool, and it is safe, and it's creating a standardized way, and where you can also scale it up for various things. So with MCP, it actually takes action across your real system. So you can consider like AI, like if AI is the brain, MCP is working like a nervous system in your body. So without it, the brain like can think, but it can't move. So with MCP, it's acting also safely and also at scale. So that's where I will put MCP like in our real world. So that's what I was telling is like the MCP will dive into the model layer, control layer, and policy layer. So how like it's considering and how we are fine tuning the boundaries and how you are actually setting up your entire project where MCP is enforcing those rules and it's setting the guardrails and having a control on how your project would be navigating. So you can think about it as like a traffic cop between the AI models and your enterprise system. So we have few pillars of governance in MCP. You can consider those as like the permissions and access. AI can't call every tool however it does like freely, but MCP enforces like who can do what, like under which conditions, and everything would be like accountable. Like every action, what is like, I know you have like so many things that the agent is doing. So, but you should be having like a control on who is actually performing this, the accountability. So that's where this comes into picture, and audit and traceability, like every action the AI takes is logged. You can ask who authorized this, like how is it done and why is it done? And this makes the compliance also possible. And you have the guardrails and safety, like where you are defining the policies, what the AI is never allowed to do and what it is allowed to do. So that's how it becomes very trustworthy and you can actually rely on it. So it's, you can more like think MCP as like the corporate governance layer in any of your organizations where employees, they would be needing roles, permissions, and approval flows. Similarly, an AI agent can like would be needing the same guardrails. MCP would be enforcing those rules so that AI can work like a responsible digital employee. Coming to technical safeguards, so what are present, like what, how the MCP is navigating and what are those safeguards you're controlling? You can say these as access control and permissions, the isolation guardrails and how you're enforcing the policies, audit logging, the rate limiting, and always we can say that there is human in the loop. Certain actions definitely require human, as like how we discussed in today's morning panel, like how Bailey and all like we're talking. It's like uh agent can never be like replacing the human. It would be like always human would be in the loop, and you have safeguards for it. So these are some of the major MCP safeguards you have to be taking into control while enforcing or like deploying any of your projects. Access control and permissions you can enforce through your API keys, OAuth scopes, or any other tokenized permissions. When you say isolation and sandboxing, you are actually running in a controlled environments and like you're testing it out thoroughly. Guardrails and policy enforcement, you are actually having rules encoded into your MCP, like you are having setting some certain limits, like don't approve this if these are like certain after a certain threshold limits, you can't exceed the authority. And you always have like audit loggings and traceability. Every request, tool, call, every decision is always logged, and you can enable an after action review and compliance checks. And there would always be a rate limiting and a throttling where it prevents the runaway loops or overuse of the APIs. And as I mentioned, next is the HITL, like the human in the loop checkpoints. Certain actions definitely require human intervention and approval. And you have data safeguards. You will be masking sensitive data before even AI sees it. And there would be like encryption for stored and transmitted data. So MCP is really making sure autonomy doesn't mean like every action could be just like taken. It's always like traceable and controlled. Whenever we have like new things coming up, there are always like challenges for implementing anything new. We would just need to adapt ourselves with that. So coming to some of the challenges, I think we have context overloading. We have to definitely give a lot of context for this to work, how we are actually imagining or expecting it to work. But sometimes like feeding too much or like irrelevant context also can slow the performance. And dynamic context updating, ensuring MCP is always providing fresh accurate data is very tough, because every day dynamically so much would be changing. And interoperability, I think definitely across various vendors, across various countries, there are certain limitations. So, and also scalability, uh, it must handle like thousands of context exchanges per second. So there would be like high latency and bottlenecks. It would be limiting the autonomy and the responsiveness and human oversight. Like there would definitely be, there are certain risks which are involved, but we are making sure we are controlling the risk when we are actually implementing this. So in short, I could say that MCP is very powerful, but it all depends on how we are carefully designing, securing, and how we are scaling it and we are balancing it. So what are some of the challenges you guys are imagining or anticipating which might be coming with this? I have just put in like very few challenges which come up to me, but I think there are lot of other things when you try to imagine to implement it across your organization. There is a lot of cost and integration, complexity, and compliance and security risk. So these are the things which I was like going through some of the things. I think mostly like Diana, like yesterday also, like has like jotted down. It all comes down to boils down to actual basic security protocols and the security standards, the OAS, LLM, SecOps, like how we were mentioning yesterday. You have to always follow these, and then only these all would be like implemented in a right way. These are some of the ethical like dimensions and things we should be following as part of a governance framework. So as we have seen, like I would say that agentic AI has the power to think, plan, and act, but without the right framework or autonomy, it can like quickly turn into chaos. So that's where MCP steps in and it acts as the rule book or the translator, and it really makes sure it's transforming the agentic AI from a very risky one into a very trusted team player. So even though, yes, they have challenges, we have things, but we should make sure we are outweighing like the rest a lot than like what we are actually enjoying from out of it. So here's the big takeaway I have, like agentic AI is giving us the wings of autonomy, but MCP is giving the runaway to take it off like very safely. So it's not just shaping the future of AI, but it's shaping a future which we can trust. So I would leave it to that. So where in your organization you could like think over where AI agent can take action. So it's saving a lot of hours and manpower here, and it's unlocking a lot of innovation. So that's where we could start tomorrow. Thank you.